Quote, I've been saving in a 529 plan for years, but now my daughter says she doesn't want to go to college. End quote. That's what Jennifer told me with a frustration in her voice that I didn't really get across there. Today, we're going to tackle the college savings dilemma that's keeping business owners up at night, like Jennifer, and revealing a flexible strategy that works whether your kids choose to go to Harvard, trade school, or join you in your business. Here we go.
In a world where chaos seems to reign supreme, where uncertainty lurks around every corner, and financial markets are now more unpredictable than ever, there's one place you can turn to find clarity and control. Welcome to the Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast.
Hey, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Amanda.
Join us as we dive deep in the world of personal and business finance
to assist you in navigating through the chaos and building the financial future you deserve.
We believe when conventional financial thinking doesn't get you where you want to go,
you need wealth wisdom.
So if you're ready to take control of your financial destiny,
tune in to the Wealth Wisdom Financial Podcast.
Because in a chaotic world, your money shouldn't be.
Subscribe now and never miss an episode.
Now, before we dive in, I got to give you a heads up. We're going to be sharing something at the end of the episode that you're going to want to stay tuned for, an amazing opportunity to level up your financial freedom journey. For now, we're going to jump into this topic of the challenge that many business owners face. Save for college or keep money invested in the business? How do you, detract from your kids' college? All the things, right? I want to introduce you first to Carlos. Carlos is a successful plumbing contractor, has 3 kids, 8, 11, and 14. So not exactly in college yet, but young enough that he's starting to think about it, right? He built his business from the ground up over the past decade, growing from a one-man operation to a team of 15 technicians serving 3 different counties in a metropolitan area. Carlos has always prioritized his children's future. Like many parents, he opened 529 college savings plans for each child shortly after they were born. Every month, he faithfully contributes to these accounts, watching the balances grow and feeling confident he's setting his kids up for success. And he feels pretty good about the tax deduction he gets for doing that too. But recently, his oldest, Miguel, started showing incredible aptitude in the family business. At 14, he's already helping with simple jobs on weekends and talking about getting his contractor's license as soon as he's old enough to, be eligible for it. He told his dad one night, "Dad, what if I want to take over the family business instead of going to college?" That question stopped Carlos in his tracks. He's been saving diligently in accounts specially designed for college expenses since Miguel was born. Miguel's 14 now. That's many months, many contributions. If Miguel chose a different path, those funds would either go unused or face penalties and taxes if withdrawn for non-qualified expenses. At the same time, Carlos was eyeing this opportunity to expand his business into a 4th county that would require about $150,000 in capital to open up a business there. Some of that money was, of course, sitting in his children's 529 plans, inaccessible without penalties unless it was used only for education. Carlos told me, "I realized I'd backed myself into a corner. I was saving for a specific version of my kids' future that might not happen, and restricting capital that could grow my business in the process." Carlos' situation highlights a fundamental challenge for business owners planning for their children's college education. The traditional college savings advice we hear everywhere assumes a predictable path to a 4-year degree. Maybe an advanced degree, but at least a 4-year degree. It also assumes college is going to look the same in 5, 10, 15 years as it does today. And it assumes that locking away your money where you can't touch it is acceptable for qualified educational experience. That's the best approach. But those assumptions don't match the reality of raising children and running a business in today's rapidly changing world. Carlos's story points to a critical truth. Business owners need college funding strategies that are as flexible and adaptable as the business owner is, right? As a business owner, you got to be flexible, you got to be adaptable. That your college funding strategy needs to be as well. The traditional approach to college savings simply doesn't fit the entrepreneurial lifestyle or the uncertain future of education. Let's first think about what's happening in higher education right now. We're not going to get political here, but these are things that have been happening, moving this direction for decades. Traditional four-year degrees have been facing unprecedented challenges since probably before I got my college degree 20 years ago. Skyrocketing costs that outpace inflation, employers increasingly valuing skills over degrees, the rise of alternative college educational paths like trade schools, coding boot camps, digital credentials, the growing burden of student loan debt. And if, parents, if we want our kids to have that same debt that we ended up with at the end of it, add those concerns to the unique situation of business owner families, where children might want to join the family business, start their own venture, or pursue specialized training that doesn't fit their traditional college model. Let's get positive here. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah runs an agency, and for years, she diligently funded 529 plans for her twin daughters. When they turned 16, she had accumulated $180,000 in her 529 accounts for her twins. Wow. Holy cow. Amazing for them. Then an unexpected opportunity arose. A competitor was selling their client list and proprietary market research database at a significant discount due to the owner's health issues. That owner was much older. They're having some health issues. They wanted to sell the assets of the business, and the asking price was $200,000, a bargain considering the potential return. Sarah found herself with a difficult choice. She had enough money in her business reservoir to cover half of the cost. So of the 200,000, she had about 100,000, her 6-month emergency fund, like she was taught to do. Where was the other 100,000 going to come from? Well, money on her balance sheet was what's sitting in her daughter's 529 plans. And that money would face lots of taxes and penalties if it was used for anything other than qualified education expenses. So Sarah passed on the opportunity, choosing to preserve her daughter's college funds. Then 6 months later, the girls were about 16 and a half, about to turn 17. They announced they had different plans. One wanted to attend a trade school for medical coding, which would cost far less than traditional college. The other wanted to travel and build her photography portfolio. Sarah was now looking at significant money trapped in 529 plans that would either go unused or be withdrawn with penalties. Meanwhile, the competitor who had approached her and sold the assets of the business sold it to another agency that now presents serious competition in her market. Sarah was trying to do the right thing, but she ended up restricting her business growth while saving for a future her daughters didn't even want. This is where the bank on yourself strategy offers a compelling alternative. Before I explain what it is, let me tell you about Marcus and his family. Marcus runs a growing landscaping business and has 2 kids. Rather than putting all his education savings into a 529, he structured a bank on yourself type policy that built cash value his family could access for any purpose, not just education. When his son decided to attend a traditional university, Marcus was able to take a tax-free policy loan to help cover the costs. And when his daughter decided she wanted to buy a lawn care franchise instead of attending college, he was able to help her with that too, using the same funds without penalties or restrictions. The most powerful part? Before any of this, Marcus had already used the policy's cash value as a financing tool for his business, taking out loans against it to purchase equipment during peak seasons, repaying those loans during his high cash flow months. This education funding strategy actually strengthened his business while his kids were growing until they were ready, for their adulting time, rather than competing with it. This is a paradigm shift that successful business owners are making, moving from rigid, single-purpose education accounts to financial strategies that support both their children's futures and their business growth, whatever form they may take. And I'm not preaching here. I'm actually sharing what we really do. Full disclosure, our son does not have a 529 plan or any other kind of government-sponsored college savings fund. We're preparing in other ways, and we love to call the funds that we're setting aside for his future his adulting fund rather than just a college fund. We also firmly believe that teaching him about how money works is more valuable than giving him money. So far, he doesn't get an allowance, but he does get a weekly investing club time slot on my calendar that will pay dividends for the rest of his life and maybe into future generations, right? His children and grandchildren, as he follows our model and invests in their education with teaching them how money really works and how to use it in their favor. What better gift to give your kids, right? Now, stay tuned after the break where we'll talk about some common objections, some recent law changes that might have you thinking twice about whole life insurance versus 529s.
Ready to take the next step towards securing your financial future? Whether you're planning for retirement, saving for your dream home, or you just want to make your money work harder for you, the team at Wealth Wisdom Financial are ready to assist you. And now, it's easier than ever to see how we might give you a boost on your financial journey.
Schedule a 15-minute discovery call with one of us today.
And let's discuss your questions and your financial goals together.
Don't wait any longer. Your financial freedom awaits. Schedule your discovery call at www.wealthwisdomfp.com/call.
I mentioned the first story, the tax advantages of the 529s. And if you do move, there's different tax advantages for banking yourself type whole life policies, but you don't get a tax deduction in the current year, at least under current law. And it's a valid point, right? 529s offer tax-free. You get a tax deduction now, tax-free growth, as long as you follow all the rules and everything, and as long as you use it for qualified educational expenses. But this benefit can actually become a significant restriction that can be particularly problematic for business owners. First, there's the issue of flexibility. If your child chooses not to attend college or needs less than you saved, you face taxes, 10% penalty on earnings for non-qualified withdrawals. You can change beneficiaries to another family member, but that doesn't help if you need those funds for your business. Second, there's the opportunity cost. Money locked up in a 529 can't be used to fund business growth, manage cash flow, seize opportunities, those kind of things. For business owners, the return on capital invested in their business often far exceeds what they might earn in a 529 plan. So just think, the taxes that you saved, the taxes that you're saving as it grows, if you added those up, could you actually make more money in your business if that money was working there? Then there's the the FAFSA impact. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. Many business owners don't realize that 529 plans owned by parents count as assets on the FAFSA, potentially reducing eligibility for financial aid. In contrast, cash value life insurance is not counted as an asset on the FAFSA under current rules. Now, we get to talk about something that I'm sure those of you who keep up to date on the latest law changes have been thinking this whole time and waiting for me to address. There's been some exciting news for families worried about having money stuck in 529 plans. Thanks to Secure 2.0 Act that took effect in 2024, there's now another option for taking unused 529 funds. Beneficiaries can roll over up to $35,000 from their 529 plan into a Roth IRA in their name without any kind of taxes or penalties. Let me give you an example. Diego's parents saved in a 529 plan starting when he was born. After graduating with minimal student debt thanks to scholarships, Diego still had about $50,000 left in his 529 plan. Since the account had been opened for at least 15 years, Diego was able to start rolling funds into the Roth IRA up to $7,000 per year based on current contribution limits, and as long as he had earned income matching those amounts. It's not like he could just take $50,000, roll it over. He had to do $7,000 per year as long as he was actively working and was making at least $7,000. Now, sure, this gave him a good head start on retirement savings while avoiding taxes and penalties that would have come from non-qualified withdrawals. But remember, there's important requirements. The 529 had to be open for at least 15 years. Contributions made within the last 5 years are not eligible to be moved, so you had to be very careful which money he was moving and when. And there's a limit of $35,000. That's a lifetime limit. So the 50,000 Diego had, he could only move 35,000 of it, leaving 15,000 in the 529 still to figure out what to do with. That can be a safety net for families concerned about overfunding 529 plans, right? If you got a whole bunch of money there, hopefully it gives you a little bit of peace. The other part of this is if, let's say Diego makes lots of money, he's not limited by normal income limits and can still do that rollover. So if your child becomes a high earner who would normally be phased out of Roth eligibility, they can still benefit from this rollover from 529 to Roth IRA feature. But here's the big gotcha. While Diego will not be able to roll over the entire amount, that, he has 50,000, but the lifetime limit's 35, he'll also have to worry about the restrictions of the Roth IRA account. He'll have 35,000 that hopefully is growing, but all of that money gets locked up until he's 59 and a half years old. Even if he wants to, if anytime he wants to use it, he can't without taxes or penalties. Now, can you imagine all the things Diego could use from age 22 to age 60 with that 30,000 if he was able to borrow against it, refill it without interrupting his compounding? Which gift would you like to give your children? We'd be remiss not to mention one more thing. Be sure to check with your tax pro about how a 529 to Roth IRA rollover is treated in regard to state taxation. This is such a new option, right? It just became a thing in 2024 that a lot of states haven't given clarity here, and you need to check what are the rules in your state. Okay, almost done here. Just one more story that helps highlight these issues. For this one, we're going to talk about Elena. Elena owns a successful bakery with 2 locations. When her daughters were born, Elena's financial advisor recommended maxing out a 529 plan, which she did for several years. But when an opportunity came to open a 3rd location in a prime spot, Elena found herself cash-strapped despite having significant savings in her daughter's 529 plans. She learned about banking herself and decided to redirect her education saving strategy. Over the next 7 years, she built up substantial cash value in a properly designed policy. And then when her daughter got accepted to her dream school, Elena was able to take tax-free policy loans to help her cover the cost. But here's where the story gets interesting. During her daughter's sophomore year, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, forcing her bakery to temporarily close its dining areas. While many competitors struggled to stay afloat, Elena was able to access her policy's cash value to pivot her business model to delivery and takeout, install some new safety equipment, and even retain all of her staff. Elena told me that money saved both my business and my daughter's education. If it had all been in a 529 plan, I might have had to choose between keeping my business afloat and keeping her in school. The bank on yourself strategy provided Elena with something 529 plans simply can't offer: options. We all love options. And as business owners navigating uncertain times while trying to secure our children's financial futures, options are invaluable. They're kind of like that American Express commercial, right? Like 529 plan, this much, bank on yourself strategy, this much, options, priceless, right? Now, it's worth noting that banking yourself isn't an all or nothing proposition. Many of the business owners we work with use a combination of these strategies, perhaps keeping some money in 529 plans, maybe what the grandparents give, those kind of things, while directing a bulk of their college education savings toward more flexible vehicles like a properly structured banking yourself type policy. For example, one thing that some parents use the 529 for still is for K through 12 private education. That helps with tax deductions for current year or next year's tuition and complements really well what they're doing with Bank on Yourself. The key is finding the right strategy for your specific situation, one that acknowledges the unpredictable nature of both business and education in the coming decades. Let's talk about that future for a minute. The landscape of higher education is changing rapidly. We talked a little bit about this before, but just consider these trends. The rise of online degrees and credentials from prestigious universities, employers like Google, Apple, IBM creating their own certification programs, the growth of income share agreements as an alternative to traditional loans, the increasing value of specialized technological training over general degrees. By the time today's toddlers reach college age, the definition of quote unquote higher education may look very different from what we know now. The business owner who locks all of their education funds in a vehicle that can only be used for traditional college expenses might find themselves facing a future that their plans didn't account for. The stories we've shared today, Carlos, Sarah, Marcos, Elena, they highlight an important truth. As business owners, we need financial strategies that match both our entrepreneurial realities and the unexpected future of education. Traditional college savings plans ask us to make predictions about a future that's increasingly difficult to forecast. They force us to choose between having capital available for business opportunities and saving for our children's education. But the Bank on Yourself approach recognizes that for entrepreneurs, business success and family financial security are deeply interconnected. Let me say that again. Your business success and your family's financial security are deeply interconnected. You want the flexibility to strengthen your business when opportunities arise while still building a secure foundation for your children's future, your grandchildren's future, maybe even your great-grandchildren's future, whatever form the future may take. It's not about rejecting 529 plans or other college education vehicles entirely. They still sometimes have their place, but it's about creating an approach that preserves your options and recognizes the unique position you're in as a business owner. And if you're not working with a financial professional that gets that unique position as a business owner, you can find one. They exist. We are some of them. The families we work with who've embraced this approach share a common idea. Often when we get these things implemented and they're moving along, we're doing our 6-month reviews, we'll get to the point where they're like, I feel like our college education, funding strategy and our business growth strategy are working together, not competing with each other. And isn't that how it should be? Your business is one of your family's greatest assets. Your education funding strategy should enhance that asset, not restrict it. Now, I know some of you would love to learn how the Bank on Your strategy might work for your family and your family's particularly education funding plan. I've created something special for you. Today, we're releasing in the Wealth Wisdom Financial Community, the Business Owner's College Funding Flexibility Guide. Say that 5 times fast. The Business Owner's College Funding Flexibility Guide. It's going to help you evaluate your current approach and identify potential improvements. You don't have to talk to us. You just log into the Wealth Wisdom Financial Community as a premium member. You'll see this guide and you can use it. 5 critical questions every business owner needs to answer about their education funding, plus a comparison tool to see how different approaches stack up to your specific situation. Again, you just go to the Wealth Wisdom Financial Community at wealthwisdomfp.com/community. Join as a premium member. You can do a month free trial and you'll get access to that full library of resources, as well as a special invitation to our next group coaching call. Planning for your children's education shouldn't mean sacrificing business opportunities or locking yourself into a single vision for the future. You can have flexibility, control, and peace of mind if you have the right strategy. We'd love to help you do that today. Wealth Wisdom Financial Community at wealthwisdomfp.com/community. Now, for that special announcement that I mentioned earlier, we shared this in our last episode. We're going to share it again. We're hosting a freedom retreat for business owners on August 5th through 7th of 2025. We're hoping it's before maybe your kids start their school this year. We'd love to have you there. Especially if you're serious about making sure that your family has freedom, not just you and not just your future self, but your family has freedom in the here and now and can continue on your freedom journey. To get more information, you'll want to text the word freedom to 513-447-6501. We'll get back to you during the next business day at some point to share more. What I'll share with you now is that it's an intimate retreat designed for setting the stage to take that next leap on your financial freedom journey over the next 12 months. We're keeping it very intimate, very small, so space is limited. If you are interested at all, you'll want to text freedom to 513-447-6501 right now. We'll get back to you. We have an application process and are happy to share more. Talk to you about it then. Again, freedom 513-447-6501. Thanks for joining me. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, comment, share what you'd like us to address in the future. And as always, live long and profit. The stories in today's episode are purely fictional and do not depict any actual person or event. The topics presented in this podcast are for general information only and not for the purposes of providing legal, accounting, or investment advice. On such matters, please consult a professional who knows your specific situation.